everybody, welcome back to the channel. Off on another adventure, this time once again with Gate 1. This is it's my fourth, Lacey's fifth trip with them, and we are doing the 10-day affordable Central Europe trip. We're starting here in Budapest, going to Vienna, to Prague, and ending in Berlin. We came in a day early as we typically do. We had to take a bus to the airport, a flight, of course, to Europe, and it was a long day. We were delayed a couple times. By the time we went to bed last night, we'd been up for 30 hours. But we made the night count. We headed out to the Christmas market and enjoyed all the vendors and quite a bit of food. And we also took the time to go up in the Ferris wheel that's here in Budapest and see the skyline at night, which was absolutely fantastic. It's our first day here in Budapest, and we've got to meet the group tonight at 6, but before then, we've got a few things planned. First, we're gonna go to a museum called the House of Terror, and this is housed in a former, I wanna call it jail, but it was really like the headquarters under the Nazis and the Soviets of some secret police. And they would torture and force confessions out of people there and do executions. So the whole museum is about understanding what people went through under the heavy thumb of those regimes. Then we're gonna head over to some thermal spas. I can't remember the name of it or pronounce it, but I'll put it here. And then we'll come back here and we'll meet with our group to get our orientation. The Gate 1 trip though starts in earnest tomorrow. So if you wanna skip what we're doing before that, timestamp's here. All right, let's go enjoy Budapest. Cheers. Our first glühwein of the trip, first Christmas market in Budapest. Oh yeah, it's really good. This is absolutely stunning. Yeah, this was worth a few bucks.
Oh, that's the Parliament building over there.
Right, we're taking a tour of that in 2 days. All right, Lacey's first try of chimney cake, which is a specialty here. Delicious? All right, I gotta try it too. That's really good. It's like a lighter fried dough.
Yeah, but it's crisp on the outside and then
yeah, they cook it over the charcoal. Really good.
Really good.
We're going into the House of Terror Museum. This is a museum dedicated to when both the Nazis and the Soviets were here occupying Hungary. This is the beating room. All right, House of Terror. I didn't realize that was actually built on the old prison, so that was pretty interesting. And being in the cells in the basement was chilling, for lack of a better term. It's important to do that sort of stuff so you understand the history and make sure we never lose rights like that again. All right, off to the thermal baths on a rainy day. So this water is warm. I'll post the name of the spa here. There's no way I can pronounce it, but this is the biggest spa in Budapest. One of the indoor spas, but I'm gonna go back outside. It is all of 35 degrees Fahrenheit out here. I'm gonna go down to the other end. It doesn't look like it's as busy. This is right by where everybody comes out of the changing rooms, so it's a little busy. But down at this end, it doesn't look nearly as bad. Lacey had to come in through a different entrance than me, so hoping we find each other. If not, we have a meetup spot for 5. This is pretty great. All right, I was in the pool for 30 minutes and didn't see Lace, so I'm gonna switch to the other pool and see if I can find her. It's, the pool's warm, but when you get out, it is quite cold. I'm sure the camera's shaking. I found. What do you think, Lace?
Thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. It is cold when you get out, though. What an absolute blast. All right, we gotta get going. We gotta head back to the hotel and meet up with the tour group. But this is definitely worth a stop if you're in Budapest.
My name is Julie. I will be your tour manager from here until Prague. I love to show people the different ways of life in each country that we're going to visit, the different cultures. People tend to ask about people and life rather than in 1428 King Ludwig stopped here for a cup of coffee.
So Lacey online found this place called the Ruin Bar. It's an empty abandoned warehouse that this guy put a bar in, and then over the years, all these different rooms have been built out for different bars. So you go to one for tequila, one for wine, and it's kind of a maze and a labyrinth. I don't know how far through, but we've wandered probably through 20 different little bars. At a table here. It'll be a good night. All of this, $7 US. Incredible. Well, that was a fun day. All right, day 2 of our 10-day tour with Gate 1 through Central Europe. But before I jump into what we're going to be doing today, last night after the video where we went to the Ruin Bar, we actually got a nightcap at this place called the New York Cafe, which we heard about from some other travelers, and they noted it had been voted the most beautiful cafe in the world. I have to say it was absolutely gorgeous, and the food was actually quite good, and the price is pretty reasonable for a touristy spot that served that high quality of stuff. Lacey didn't get a cocktail. I got this purple gin thing, pistachio raspberry tart, lemon mousse with caramel. All right. On to today. So pretty full day here in Budapest. We'll be participating in 2 add-on adventures as part of this trip today. The first is a tour of the Parliament Building, St. Stephen's Cathedral, and the Great Market Hall. Then we'll come back here, relax a little bit before we go out on a Danube cruise this evening. Apparently the skyline and Parliament Building lit up from the river at night is something to truly behold. All right, let's get after it.
So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you my face. This is my face. Welcome to Budapest and welcome to the nicest city in Europe. I'm Hungarian, so that's my opinion, but I do hope that you will love your stay in Budapest. On the right hand side, or at the moment in front of us, you can see the art gallery. Let me show you the building on your right. This belongs to the ice skating rink. And there is even a lovely castle. That's the Vajdahunyad Castle. Don't try to remember the complicated name of the castle. So we are going to stop here.
So we were here yesterday, but we're here with a group again. It's called Heroes Square. Should be a statue there of Gabriel, but it's being redone. These statues are the leaders of the 7 Hungarian tribes. This is the tomb of the unknown soldier here in Heroes Square. Back on the bus. I'm so happy. This is the Buda Castle district we're getting on here. See the bullet holes from World War II. This is what it looked like after the war. The tour guide was saying these are the original window frames. And they're over 500 years old. Look at that church up there. Jewish prayer house. The sun's trying to come out. This is King Matthias. Matthias Church, built 700 years ago. That roof. Our guide was mentioning that this one tower is made out of wood compared to the others, which is interesting. Fisherman's Bastion. Absolutely gorgeous here. Fisherman's Bastion. Matthias Church here behind me. Let's go steal a view. All right, quick break. Go back and meet up with the group. Going into the Matthias Church. Stained glass in this church is absolutely phenomenal. It's pretty cool. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but we got to come in behind the ropes. We're sitting near the altar.
So I'm the special man because I'm a surprise for you. The organist and the conductor of this church. And I guess that you know already what's the surprise, the sound of this organ, which is much more special.
Oh, he's a conductor. It's going to be a 15-minute concert of Sebastian Bach in D minor. That church is definitely worth checking out, and that was definitely special, being able to be in that private area and listen to the organs. This place is a bit of a madhouse, though. This is King Stephen, the first king of Hungary. This is the chain bridge. This is the Parliament building we'll be touring later. This is St. Stephen's, will also be touring later. This is the other side of the Fisherman's Bastion. There are 7 towers representing the 7 tribes. That was a fun tour. Time to go back to the bus. First part of one of the optional tours, we're here at the Great Market. Do a little shopping, get a little lunch. We've got an hour and a half here before we're gonna meet the bus to go over to the Parliament building. Lacey trying to hurdle and failing. He was saying this market opened in 1896. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. He's talking about why the sausages are red here is because they use a lot of paprika in their food. He was saying this is actually a Transylvanian treat, but Transylvania used to be part of Hungary. We did find our Christmas ornament from Budapest. Should look good on the tree. All right, that's the Great Market. Probably a pass for me. We're also here on a Saturday around lunchtime, and it is crazy busy. Doesn't look like it behind me, but upstairs, couldn't walk. Everybody's running into you. A little crazy. Good souvenirs, but nothing you can't find around town. And the food, I think, is better kind of on the streets and the food cart. So I'd personally skip this one if you're limited on time. All right, on to the next. There's the sun. Going to the Parliament building now for a tour. We're here along the river. So the gold entrance we just came up was used by the Lord's side. My hair's incredible. So apparently it's pretty rare to get to see the other side of the building, which is open for us today. So that'll be good. This is the grand staircase. In this dome is the Hungarian crown, which you cannot get a video of. This is one of the common rooms for the common side. It's red because they didn't have blue blood, which was on the Lord's side. So this is actually where Parliament sessions are held. I guess it's kind of special to be able to see this. Parliament building, amazing, beautiful, definitely worth a visit. We're now on to St. Stephen's Basilica, short drive across town.
Who knows? Then maybe we can have a very special tour being with this bus in the water. Who knows? Oh, look. Look, it's so funny. So it's not an accident, believe me, that bus, it's a boat as well. So like in New York, you have the duck.
Yeah.
We have something similar here in Budapest.
Church is by a Christmas market, so it's a little crazy. The guide was saying this was built in the second half of the 19th century. This is actually the same Christmas market Lacey and I wandered into a couple nights ago. A lot more busy. There's the organ. There's the altar. Apparently in this church is the mummified right hand of King Stephen. That was a quick tour, but beautiful. Now we're going back to the hotel to rest a little bit before our cruise along the river tonight. All right, after a quick nap, we are headed to the cruise on the Danube River. It includes a buffet. We'll see about that. We got a little snack before we went. But most excited to see the skyline lit up at night. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful, including the Parliament building that we were at earlier. So really looking forward to that.
180 meters wide.
What do you want to call it, Lace? Time to go outside and look at the skyline. This is the Parliament building coming up that we took the tour of earlier. This is where the Prime Minister holds court. And I believe this is the chain bridge we're about to go under. This is the Sisi bridge we're coming up on. Sisi, sorry, this is the Sisi. I keep mispronouncing that. This is the Liberty Bridge.
Yeah, this is the Liberty Bridge.
Yeah.
Franz Joseph.
Franz Joseph. Look how close these guys are. All right, river cruise on the Danube. You gotta do it. Food's okay, food's good. The stuffed cabbage and the goulash, excellent. But the nighttime views, I mean, look at this. All right, it's gonna be hard to beat. We'll see you tomorrow, another full day. All right, the start to day 3 of our 10-day trip through Central Europe. We are leaving Budapest today, somewhat sadly. I will say this was an unexpected pleasure, this city. I thought I would enjoy it. I didn't realize how much I would really love it here. It's a beautiful city, really reasonably priced, and the people are friendly. So if you're ever thinking about Budapest, make sure it goes on the list. All right, and that brings us to today. So we'll be leaving the hotel here in about an hour and heading to Vienna over in Austria. It's about a 3.5, 4-hour drive. Sometimes they break up these drives with stops to do things, sometimes they don't. So I'm not sure exactly what the plan is. We will get to Vienna by noontime. The rest of the group is then going to go to the summer residence of the Habsburgs. We'd previously done that on a different Gate 1 trip, so we're going to not go with the group when they do that and instead go to the Belvedere Palace. We'll also likely hit a few Christmas markets before heading back to the hotel, meeting up with the group. And then tonight, we have tickets to see Mozart via a symphony in Vienna. So very excited about that. Bought a nice collared shirt. I, of course, will shave and we'll have a great evening. But we've got to finish getting packed up here and get on the bus. Oh, and for those of you wondering, this is the size room in Budapest. I get asked a lot about the rooms. And then we are right in the middle of the city, as you can see.
On the right, this is the Imperial Palace. This is Parliament.
All right, we are off the bus in Vienna, headed to the Christmas market for lunch. Looks pretty packed, but I'm sure we'll find something. I was like, I wonder how long it's gonna take her to see me. Get a Glühwein to share. All right, so I'd say the mugs are better here. Yeah. Lacey went with hot chocolate. I got Glühwein. Ooh, it's stronger here. Definitely good though. Healthy lunch of bratwurst. It says it's organic. All right, Glühwein and bratwurst up. We're headed to the Belvedere Palace or Castle? Palace. Belvedere Palace. About a 40-minute walk. Vienna is so beautiful to walk through. A lot more food in this one. It's a nice surprise. Another Christmas market on the way. It's our third Christmas market of the walk. We're all over the place here. Human powered. Never seen that before, have you? Every corner you go around in Vienna, there's stuff like this. Absolutely amazing. The Christmas market is right around the outside of it. Just a note, if you're coming to Europe, a lot of places you need to pay to use the bathroom, so it's like 50 cents or €1. Make sure you keep some coins in your pocket. This is outside one of the Christmas markets, and whew, after that Glühwein, I certainly needed it. On Google, this is called Charles's Church. This pillar is amazing and detailed. See here. And then this one over here looks to be under reconstruction. Belvedere Palace. It's the marble hall. Absolutely stunning. Apparently this marble hall is where they negotiated for the Allied troops to withdraw and for Austria to return to a sovereign nation after World War II. Pretty neat bit of history. Here's a photo of that signing, 1955. And over here is the actual treaty reestablishing Austria as an independent country. There's a Claude Monet, half a Monet's garden in Germany, and another Monet. This is The Kiss, famous painting by Clement. Upstairs is the modernism wing. A lot of interesting stuff up here. I'm gonna say this is a little bit cooler than the modern stuff. All right, Belvedere Palace, worth a visit. Much more of an art museum than I thought it was gonna be. And I would say if you only have time to do one, the Summer Palace or this, I'd go do the Summer Palace. All right, we're gonna walk around Vienna a little bit more. We gotta get to our hotel by 4:30 to meet up with the group to get our luggage. I think we went to this one the last time we were here. It looks familiar. We'll check it out. Here's our hotel, the Hilton. And if I had to guess, I'd say that's the music hall we'll be going to later. Schnitzel for dinner.
All right, tonight's optional tour is a concert of Bach and Strauss. It's not too far from the hotel. It's like right across the street.
It's Mozart.
It's Mozart? I thought it was Bach and Strauss.
No, it's Mozart and Strauss.
All right, she must be right. She's always right. Anyway, it's a classical music concert right across the way from here. It's one of the add-ons you can do. We do all the add-ons most of the time, so see how it is. We're all dressed up.
All right, just back from the Mozart and Strauss concert. They requested no video and no photos.
I would kindly ask you not to take photos and videos during the performance.
So I wasn't able to capture much of the concert. I did get a quick blurb. Here it is. And that wraps day 3. Tomorrow we're headed to Slovakia, which should be good in the morning. And then we are going to hit another local museum before heading out of Vienna proper and up to a vineyard for a family style dinner. Should be an absolute blast. Looking forward to it. But for now, it's been a long day and I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, day 4 of the trip. We're still here in Vienna at a hotel, but this morning we've opted to take the optional tour over to Slovakia and the capital city of Bratislava for the day. It's like a 6-hour excursion. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. We did a little bit of research last night. We hadn't done any before that, and really looking forward to it. It looks like it's going to be a gorgeous tour of the old city. We'll then come back here. We've got a few free hours this afternoon. And then tonight we're headed up into the hills outside of Vienna to a local winery where we will do a family style dinner in the vineyard. So really looking forward to that. All right, I am behind. Lacey's already downstairs with the group having breakfast. So let's catch up.
It's a landlocked country. It used to be part of Czech. The river. This is the Coronation Church.
This will be our tour of the old city here in Bratislava. He was saying this white building here is their White House, presidential palace. This is the only part of the moat that's preserved, and this is the only original gate that's left. You can see here, that's where the chain for the drawbridge would come down. He was saying Slovakia is the size of Switzerland. It only has like 5 million people, and Bratislava, which is the capital, only has like 600,000 people, so not a huge country. So that's where we'll end. So Berlin. What in the Willy Wonka? Might have to try that. So he was just telling us that Bratislava used to be the capital of Hungary, and the crown jewels that we saw in the Parliament building the other day used to be kept here for 300 years. This is where the Habsburgs would actually be crowned for Hungary. He was saying these courtyards, where these gates are, this used to be where they'd press the wine, and then the wine would go down underground into the cellars. And the way it works is that if the courtyard's open, that's an invitation to go in. There's maybe shops back there. If it's closed, then they're closed. He's saying that's a cannonball from the Ottoman Turks. It's pretty amazing. And apparently this cannonball is from Napoleon. The tour guide's been saying that Bratislava has been conquered. And because of that, because it wasn't bombed in World War II, the architecture here is like 700 years old. It's pretty interesting. A lot of embassies are here in the old city, and it's also where everybody goes out drinking. I've seen a lot of barrels, but I've never seen one with the top barrel stave hammered in like that.
Where do you see the flag? Flag is Spain.
What I was talking about. This is the Embassy of Slovenia above the Slovenia House of Beer. Apparently this is the most famous thing to eat here. Pressburg bagel since 1890. Have to get one of those. He was saying Pressburg is actually the Austrian name for Bratislava. St. Martin is the biggest church here in Bratislava. Started building it in 1260. This is the promenade. Walking down to the Opera House along the promenade. This used to be the wall of the old city, and in the 1700s they knocked that down to make more room for development. So this is all fill that used to be the wall to make up the promenade. Wow, this looks amazing. Back into the old city. Built on this place in the 14th century. Pulled down in 1776. America's freedom. They're saying this is the most photographed thing here. This guide, Michael, was amazing. All right, so we're back to Pressburg Bagel. Do you want me to just go in and get one? That's the walnut. This is the poppy seed, and that's the almond. I'm gonna go with almond first. It's not bagel dough at all. They're good. All right, Pressburg Bagel, worth stopping. We got all three just to try them. We said walnut and the poppy seed were our favorites.
Yeah, you would think the almond would be good, but because almond's your favorite nut, right? But
right.
It was not.
Definitely worth a stop, though. All right, we're going to a farmer's market. Get some more food.
Christmas market.
Christmas market, jeez. All right, Lacey took the first bite. This looks amazing. Oh man, so good. Lacey and I tried one of these potato pancake things the first night. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, these look good. So this is a dumpling with sheep cheese. Here you go, here's a 10. This looks like it might be some sort of pierogi. Or is that the same as this? These look bigger.
No, that looks like a pierogi because of the Polish influence here.
Got it. With this sausage flatbread thing. How's that, Lace?
I'm not sharing. This is so good.
I would like a bite. I demand a bite. I paid for it.
Kidding. It's really good. Like, this is good.
All right, now to this potato. Was it potato dumpling?
Yeah, it's potato dumpling with sheep cheese, bacon, spring onions, and
The one Lacey said she was not going to share. So I'm trying to get everything into one bite because that's all I get. Wow. I'm taking another bite.
yeah, it's really good.
That is phenomenal. Really cheesy.
That
over the pizza.
Safe at all times.
So Martin Slova was our guide that took us around the city. He literally wrote the book on traveling here. All right, that's a wrap on Bratislava. I gotta say, unexpected treat. If you're in Vienna, it's definitely worth a day trip out here. I wish we had more time to explore more shops, take a break, eat a little bit more food, but this town's absolutely amazing, very reasonably priced, very easy to get to. It's like 45 minutes from downtown Vienna. Make sure you come out here. All right, back to the bus. All right, so we're off the bus, walking to the Sisi Museum, which is about Sisi Habsburg. Am I saying that right?
It's Elizabeth Habsburg.
Elizabeth
but they
Habsburg.
called her Sisi.
Elizabeth Habsburg, but they called her Sisi. She was the last queen of the Austrian Empire. 15-minute walk through the city. Check it out. We got to be back in a couple hours for dinner, so kind of a speed run. This is the Central Cafe, very famous spot. You can see the line around the corner. It's by the purple flag, they said. Kaiser Apartments. Apparently, after her son committed suicide, she wore mostly black. So, residential apartments. This is where he would take appointments to meet with people. This is Hidesky. So these heaters were stoked from the back. There's a hallway back there where tenants would stoke it with wood. And that was so that the room didn't get dirty or smoky. Very beautiful. Her exercise equipment. Sisi Museum was an absolute surprise. I was not actually expecting to like that as much as I did. Very interesting, very tragic character. Lacey knew a lot more about her than I did. A lot of melancholy in her life. But after, you also get to do this tour of the royal apartments, which was unexpected and great. Definitely worth coming. You got to get tickets in advance sometimes, but you can do it right online. All right, we got to get back to...
It's great for Habsburgs nerds.
We got to get back to the hotel. Just random stuff you see on the walk back to the hotel. All right, headed to the vineyard for dinner. This restaurant's pretty interesting in that there are pictures of celebrities all over the place that have come here to eat.
Good morning, day 5 of the trip. Today's a transit day. We'll be leaving here in Vienna, headed 5 hours over to Prague and the Czech Republic. We'll make a couple stops along the way, bathroom break, I'm sure, and then we'll be stopping at a truck stop for lunch on our way to Prague. This is my second time to Vienna and Austria. I spent 5 days here now in total. I feel like I've just scratched the surface of what this city has to offer. Because I showed the last one, I'll also show this one. I get a lot of questions in the comment section of the videos about the rooms. So let me show you the room here in Vienna. We're staying at the Hilton Vienna Plaza. You can see the room is quite a bit bigger than our room was in Budapest. Our room in Budapest was probably just that plus the bathroom. I mean, the bathroom even has
his and her vanities. So a nice big room here in Austria.
And with the room tour over, it's time to go get on the bus.
So, in 3, not quite 2. 1. Welcome to the Czech Republic, everyone.
Hey! It's a restaurant. Tour guide was saying this is an old Russian plane. Bit like a cafeteria, but good spot for lunch. Let's see what we get. A nice light lunch. It's vacation. Lacey got us this ginger cake, which looks phenomenal. Oh, and a walnut. Is that one of those bagel things? Okay.
Walnut pastry.
It tastes like a lot like zucchini bread that we'd eat growing up. Very good. Solid lunch. Now back to the bus. All checked in, headed to the tram down by the river to head into the old city. No real plans, gonna kind of play it by ear, see how the night goes. Absolutely stunning.
It's right in the middle.
Oh yeah, Lacey said there's a crown right here, and it's supposed to be everybody goes through gets crowned. That's cool. Yeah, the last time we were there, Lacey walked into one. Absolutely amazing dinner. Now just walking around the old part of the city. Lacey found this place online. We're supposed to have a reservation to get in, but they were able to fit us in for an hour. So we're gonna get a couple cocktails. So I got the pear cardamom. Lacey got the lemon poppy seed. Both are absolutely amazing. Try it. I didn't think you liked pears. Right? It's delicious. Try yours. Well, that's very good. Ooh, dropped the. So they bring you this crumpled can for a menu that's inspired by Banksy. All right, so I got the gangster rat, and Lacey got the barcode leopard.
Yeah.
This is rice paper, 100% edible, and this comes on a mousetrap. All right, Lace, give it a go. Yeah, it's tequila based. Mine's rye whiskey based. It's very good. Very good. All right, well, that was an unexpected pleasure. If you're ever here, the Anonymous Bar, you got to go to it. The vibe's unreal.
It was amazing, and I would suggest reservations.
Yeah.
We got lucky and we were able to walk in.
Yeah, they're like, you have an hour and 20 minutes.
And it was an hour.
It was an hour and 20 minutes.
So if you've been on TikTok, there's Anonymous and then the Shrink's office. They are two separate things. The Shrink's office, you need a reservation 2 months in advance.
Yeah, we're gonna try to sneak in tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
The waiter was very kind and told us to get there at 5 and perhaps we'd get in, so we're gonna try it. But otherwise, I'm gonna leave you there for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, day 6 of our 10-day trip through Central Europe with Gate 1. Yesterday, day 5, was just the commute basically from Vienna to here in Prague. And then last night, as you saw in the video, we took a walk around through the old city, grabbed a little dinner, and had a great evening at a local cocktail bar. Today, however, I've got to get down to the bus in just a few minutes, and we're going to be doing a tour with a local guide through the old city. That should last 2 to 3 hours. That tour will end at the astronomical clock, which is a big feature here in Prague. Lacey and I are then going to go potentially to an old library just to look around. And then we have a reservation with a different local guide away from the group to do a private tour of Prague, which should be great. And then this evening, there's been 41 people on this trip, and I think 30 of them, or about 30 of them, are leaving tomorrow from Prague. And then a smaller group of us are continuing on to Berlin. So there's a going away dinner. We are gonna skip that dinner, not because we don't like the people, but because we've only got one night here in Prague and we wanna go out and explore as much as we can. That's one of the great things about these trips is you can kind of pick and choose what you wanna do, and the tour guides are very flexible. If anybody from our group is later watching this, sorry we missed you. We enjoyed hanging out with you, but we wanted to enjoy the city. All right, I've got 10 minutes and then I need to meet up with Lacey and the bus downstairs. Let's go check out Prague.
My name is Jaroslav, or Yara for short, Yara. But my experience is that it's difficult to remember for English-speaking people. So you can call me Jerry. I'll be Jerry for you this morning. Yes.
All right, so this would be a tour of Prague Castle, which is where the seat of the president is here in Prague. Saying this was Europe's first tulip garden, later exported to Holland. This is the gate that leads to where the president lives, his residence. There's another gate with security back there. He was saying this is so black because under communism they used really bad brown coal, and the sandstone absorbs all that ash. It's really hard to clean. Powder Tower. And this is the moat. This was built during the Habsburg Maria Theresa. It's kind of interesting. It's all Baroque. You've got these gargoyles here for gutters, and then the architects snuck themselves in here. See them in modern clothing. St. Vitus Cathedral. This is called the Rose Window. I don't think my phone's gonna do it justice. He's saying this houses the royal jewels, which include 5 of the largest sapphires in the world. They only displayed a few times every century. It requires 7 different keys to open. The president has one, Mayor of Prague, church officials, head of the parliament. This is the old pulpit. This is the tomb of St. John. It's made out of 2 tons of silver. This was carved 400 years ago, before drones, but accurate overhead. St. Charles Bridge, rather. Tomb of a couple of the Habsburgs. Time to exit the church, but that was absolutely stunning. This is the Archbishop tomb since the 1800s. This gentleman standing where they lift the crypt, which stares down to it. This stained glass is absolutely stunning. Now we're headed to the main entrance. The L on this fountain is for Leopold I. Oh, this is stunning. This Gate goes back to 1614. The changing of the guard happens every hour on the hour. This is the first president of Czechoslovakia. Hazy, but beautiful morning here. So the St. Charles Bridge that we were on last night, we'll be on later here in a bit, is right there. Back to the bus, and we'll be walking through the Jewish quarter next. All right, so we just got off the bus here. We're gonna cross this bridge and walk over to the Jewish quarter. And that'll be the end of the tour today, and we'll end at the astronomical clock, which is something we've very much been looking forward to. You can already see our tour guides up there. So that's the church we were just up at. This is the really expensive part of town. Gucci, Jimmy Choo, all that. This is the former Jewish ghetto we're just walking into, but it was rebuilt in the early 1900s for sanitation reasons. So these buildings, they say, are fairly new, but they're all over 100 years old. The guide was just telling us that although the Nazis destroyed most synagogues across Europe when they were going through their reign of terror, they left it here in Prague, and a lot of the relics from those other synagogues were brought here because the Nazis intended to have a museum of an extinct race here. So a lot of those things still exist here because they intended to have that museum. So our guide was saying that here on this clock are Jewish characters, and because the Jewish language reads in the opposite direction of English, that clock actually spins in the opposite direction of clockwise, so counterclockwise. It's the Jewish cemetery here, Jewish town hall here. See the Star of David above it. These crosses are people who were executed here in the square as part of the 30 Years' War. This must be where the clock is. Just looking at the crowd. The clock dates back to the 15th century. There are a lot of videos on the intricacies of this, but it tells not just the time, but like the cycle of the moon. Those doors open every hour on the hour, and it's the 12 disciples. Lacey and I stopped at a little cafe right off the square here, and we're waiting for the top of the hour for the mechanical men to come at the little doors.
The saints.
Saints. Mechanical men, whichever you want to call them. Look at this meat and cheese plate that Lacey got. Oh, they do have gloves. We should go back in there on the way. You going in? So we just went out and bought some really nice crystal glasses for the house, and now this is the Sex Machine Museum. All right, we're short on time. Didn't go to the Sex Machine Museum like we'd hoped, but the entranceway was fun. Kafka's head. So apparently every hour this thing rotates and does a display. We missed it by just a little bit. Lacey signed us up for the World War II tour, so we'll be going on that next. Not sure how much I'll share, but that's what we're doing. So that's one way to tow a car. This is the other side of the square where the clock is. Absolutely stunning. This is the original ground level. The city was built up because of floods a few hundred years ago. This is an example of where people would hide during World War II. All right, so the history tour was good. I didn't record much of it because that's how the guy makes his living, and it felt wrong, frankly, to video it. We tried going to the bar we were gonna try to get into, but it doesn't open for like another 2 hours. We thought it opened at 5, so we're gonna try to find something to eat, bang around. We still have to find our Christmas ornament, so that's an important thing, but we got a few more hours before it'll be that time, so let's go find something to eat. Place, you got the duck confit. Another delicious meal here in Prague.
Day 7 of our Gate 1 trip around Central Europe. Today we're in Prague, where we were yesterday, but we're about to get on the bus and head to Berlin. It's about a 4-hour drive from Prague to Berlin, but we're gonna stop along the way in Dresden for a city tour with a local guide. Dresden should be interesting. I've heard about it, of course. It was heavily bombed during the war, but really looking forward to that tour and getting to experience what that guide and city has to offer. And then we'll be getting into Berlin around 4 p.m. tonight with a free evening. We don't necessarily have anything planned, so we'll have to see what we get into, but really just kind of another transportation day to get us to Berlin for the final day of this trip. And in Prague, we stayed at the Hermitage, which is about a 20-minute walk from the old town. Good sized room, certainly bigger than Budapest, not as nice as Vienna was, but pretty decent size. Our group has gone from 41 to 14. Most of the group got done in Prague, so the bus is pretty empty today.
Welcome to the exclusive trip to Berlin. All right, we're going to head off. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Germany.
They're saying there's 560,000 people here in Dresden. The Sempra Opera House. The guide was just sharing that Dresden was bombed one night in 1945, and the majority of the city was destroyed. They didn't go after, the Allies didn't go after military complexes. They went after civilians to defeat the morale. So everything we're seeing was either rebuilt from its entirety or rebuilt using whatever was left. The opera house, the outside's all original, but the inside was all destroyed. So Swinger was destroyed through a bombing. This was all knocked down. She was saying this is the residential palace that they're still rebuilding after the war. It was a ruin for 35 years. Rebuilding started in 1986, and it's still going. Interior courtyard in the residence. So this is the green treasure room that we're not going to get to see today, but might be a reason to come back to Dresden. It's absolutely phenomenal looking. This is this original stables. It's a Christmas market here. There's quite a few around town. So these are all the Saxony princes over the years. This is all ceramic tiles. So we're free for an hour and a half for lunch to walk around through the Christmas market. Should be beautiful before we head back to the bus. Dresden is an absolute gem. Definitely need to come back, and it really weighs heavy on you when you realize that the Allies in 45, so there wasn't much time left in the war, bombed this place to oblivion. It's an absolutely gorgeous city. Deer and 4 bratwursts. Funnel cake. Look at that little Santa. Does he go back down when he gets the... My sister would absolutely love this. You just point out because that's all black. That's your only part that was standing. And in the photo she showed us, there was that single part left. I'd love to get a pretzel. German pretzel. Cute little buggers. This is not the red wine, blue wine. Oh, it's more of an orange punch. It's good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Very warming, that's for sure. Dresden Gifts and Goods. You want to see if they got one in there? All right, we already have a Germany one, but we figured a Dresden specific one was in order. All right, I went with the wild bratwurst. Lacey went with the goulash. Good?
Yeah.
Since it's on the way back to the bus, we're gonna go into that medieval Christmas market that we saw with the tour guide. Okay, this is cool. Turkish coffee. Lacey, you want to get on that? I'll get a picture. All right, just wrapping up in Dresden. Beautiful city. Weather wasn't great, but the city is absolutely gorgeous. We will definitely come back. Now we have a 2-hour run to Berlin. And we should be getting into the hotel by 4 p.m. tonight. No real plans. We'll probably just figure out something to do in the city. All right, so we got into the hotel room, called our families. Everybody's doing well. Wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. Now we're going to try to find some dinner in Berlin. One of my requirements of the trip was to find this crispy pork knuckle. One of my favorite dishes. It's a good sized beer.
Well, that's good.
Really good, right?
Yeah.
So the pork knuckle's kind of big. I see it's got the schnitzel. Ooh, with the cream sauce. Lacey wins. Lacey wins the Clean Plate Club. So much food. Whew. All right, well that was a huge meal. We're gonna go walk this off a little bit here in Berlin. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, day 8, the final day of the Gate 1 itinerary here in Berlin. It is a 10-day trip around Central Europe. However, they add for that 10 days the day you travel on both ends. So you actually get 8 days kind of in country doing your thing. That said, it's actually our second to last day. We paid for an extra day here at the hotel, so we get an extra day in Berlin. But if you're only interested in the Gate 1 review, today will be the last day of the trip. And today's gonna be a very packed day. First, we have a tour of the city, going all over the place, looking at a lot of stuff. And then this afternoon, we've opted for the optional tour. It's called Berlin's Hidden Past, dealing with the late 20th century, a lot of remnants of the Nazi regime being here, that sort of thing. And then tonight we have the farewell dinner. So very packed day, very much looking forward to it. It's a rainy day here in Berlin, or at least overcast. So hopefully the weather holds off and we can enjoy it. Oh, and here's the room check. Good room in Berlin. We are at the ABBA Hotel. It is a distance from downtown. It's about a 25-minute cab ride to the center of Berlin, but there's a lot around here, a lot of good restaurants. You're not stranded, you're just not in the heart of it. But you can see here, a very good sized room. So other than Budapest, all the rooms have really exceeded my expectation for an affordable trip.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There you go. All right. And I know what you're thinking. Oh God, it's not even 9 and that man is going to talk about Nazis and communists a little, right? Yep. Yes. Because I used to work in that house, actually.
This is the German Parliament building. This is also where the Reichstag fire was that the Nazis used to overthrow the government during the re-election process. The guide was just pointing out that side was the west, this side was the east.
This is his statement of power, and you see the statue on top back there used to have an olive branch. These two lines are marking the Berlin Wall territory. Means the Brandenburg Gate was walled in.
Just walking through the Brandenburg Gate. Pretty amazing. Back on the bus for the next stop.
You can see now covered with the Christmas market. Even more sad, because that is the plaza where the book burning of the 10th of May 1933 happened. Welcome to Museums Island, which is an island with museums on top. Right hand side is a reconstruction of the castle of the royal family. The church coming up here in front of us, the Berlin Cathedral.
The guide was saying that this bowl is one solid piece of granite, and it was originally supposed to be in the building. They built this outside, and then they built this and realized it would not fit inside. Known as the Berlin Dome. It's a Lutheran church.
Keep in mind, East Germany also was a regime. Knocking people away. I will talk about the build-up of the Berlin Wall. Technically, this is all part of Museums Island that you can see here coming up. Yeah? It takes till 1961 to actually build up the Berlin Wall, but the split kind of happens before it. You could argue after World War II. In October 1961, that man is stopped here at the checkpoint by East German guards, who basically prevent him from crossing over. He still has the documents and is allowed to cross, but I think these East German guards also want to show off a little bit. This fight builds up more and more and more, till you have American tanks on this side facing Soviet tanks on this side, in the peak of the Cold War. So you can see that charm of Checkpoint Charlie is what did not happen, but what could have happened.
This was the Soviet side. Over there, it's American. And this was all Checkpoint Charlie. Back to the bus and the hotel. Really interesting city tour here with the guide. I think the most interesting part for me is hearing, you know, in the West, we think about the unification of the West and the East as an overall positive thing. But our tour guide was born in the East, and his parents came up through the eastern side of Berlin. And hearing that it wasn't all great, there's a real growing pains as those two sides came together, because you had one side that had gotten used to communism and what it provided for them and that structure and that system. And then West Berlin essentially swallowed them and had to assimilate them into the Western culture, which was not easy or necessarily welcomed by everybody. So that was really interesting to get that perspective. Also great to see Checkpoint Charlie, just some of the things I've read about over the years. So. The guide was saying they don't rebuild everything here as a reminder of the war and a warning.
Biography of Terror Museum. It's a free outdoor museum built on the former location of the SS Gestapo, and it's free to enter.
Again, this is the former headquarters of the SS where this wall is. And of course, that's the Berlin Wall behind it. So this is the gentleman, Franz von Papen, that convinced the president to make Hitler chancellor. I'd heard about this before, where the Nazis basically subsidized radios to get them into people's hands as a propaganda tool. That is interesting. This is noting that although the Autobahn has been called Hitler's roads, and I'd always heard he planned them, they were actually planned under the Weimar Republic. Persecution of social elements, asocial elements, homosexuals, prosecution of the gypsies, and of course the Jews. Unfortunately, we only had 30 minutes here with the group, and I only made it to where they started talking about the persecution of the Jews. Had all of this left. If we have time tomorrow, I'm going to come back. But this is definitely worth a visit.
here on the left-hand side. If that looks a little bit like a Nazi fortress to you, that's because it used to be a Nazi fortress. And ironically, this is where East Germany was founded in, actually, in that building in 1949, right? So this is kind of like a set in to the next tour.
Second half of the tour that we signed up for is more about the Cold War, so it'll start with the denazification of Germany and then get into Cold War, both pros and cons of socialism as the guide sees it, and then tour around Berlin.
In the trees that are still standing are chopped off by the people living.
The Soviet War Memorial.
And you note.
So this is the memorial for all the Jewish people who lost their lives in Europe during the Nazi occupation.
So this memorial is not so self-explaining. It goes back to the 1990s when the decision was made what to do with this former Berlin Wall. The competitions were held, artists could send in their pictures. In the end, American architect Peter Eisenman is making a race with this concept. And he's not giving you any explanation.
He was saying this is where the bunker where Adolf Hitler died was. It's over here. He also called it the most famous parking lot in the world.
The Red Army is occupying that. They of course find the bunker. Apparently they also find the testament of Adolf Hitler's. It says specifically in this testament his body, in the case of his death, is not supposed to fall in the hands of the Allied forces, not to be used as a war trophy. The idea is basically to say, please take the body out of the bunker, put it in a crater somewhere over here, use gasoline, whatever is there, to burn it. Talk about now is the next time that is trying to overcome exactly. I think this is unfortunately really something that is here. So these
This
metal
is the death strip area.
straps here. So these spikes are giving you a hint. We are just roughly in West Berlin right now. Behind that concrete part would be East Berlin, and with that also death strip territory. Berlin Wall, in memory of the division of the city from the 13th of August 1961 to the 9th of November 1989.
Shows the dead man zone.
What is the other side? All these elements that we have to have right now, correct?
It's pretty fascinating to see people walk their dogs through what would have been the no man zone before.
Not so long ago, that was absolutely not a and therefore,
This is what the wall looked like from the western side.
so you see also these ones. These are basically the blueprints of the houses that would be here, but absolutely demolished. That house was okay, but everything that would stand here had to move.
Was it part of the wall? It looks like it abutted.
In a way, yeah. So you have to imagine this almost to lean against.
Yeah. He was saying when they first built the wall, this Reconciliation Church was not knocked down, but eventually they did knock it down, and this is where it stood.
You can see this part of the Berlin Wall with the cylindrical element on top. Everything on the right-hand side, that's part of this east side gallery.
This is the east side gallery. It's the largest standing section of the Berlin Wall that's left. They've opened it up for all these artists. This is the most famous painting here. That's the Soviet premier kissing the head of East Berlin. It's pretty wild to think that that was East Berlin. This was the death zone. That was West Berlin. All right, well, we had a wonderful time with a local guide exploring Berlin through the Cold War period. Really interesting to walk where the Berlin Wall used to be. Now we're headed off to our Gate 1 goodbye meal here in Berlin. Get to say goodbye to the people we've been traveling with and hopefully have a great meal. Last time getting on the bus. Unlimited booze, basically.
They're gonna let you choose.
I have prior education, so I'm starting off.
How do they know the songs? Nice. All right, good morning. Day 9 here in Berlin. We've got our final day here in Berlin. It's just the two of us. The tour ended last night at that dinner that you saw. We are going to use the hop on, hop off bus to get around the city. We could use the subway. We could use taxis, of course. Could use the tram service.
But we think that'll get us close enough to all the tourist destinations that we want to see, and will continue to inform us as we go around the city. We are definitely going to hit the DDR Museum, which is a museum dedicated to life under communist rule on the eastern side of Berlin. Then we're going to head over to the Jewish Museum. It was recommended to us by the tour guide yesterday. And if we have time, we'll go back to the Topography of Terror outdoor museum that we stopped into yesterday for 30 minutes because we didn't get to see everything that we wanted to, or to take the time we thought was necessary. Then dinner will probably be a stroll through another Christmas market before we leave. We have an early flight tomorrow. We have to leave here from the hotel at 3 a.m. So not quite sure how late we'll stay out, but it's going to be an action-packed day. Okay, let's get after it.
So the DDR Museum is about life in East Berlin under communist rule. So most people don't realize that Berlin was actually just surrounded by Soviet-controlled land to begin with. It was an island. This museum is really interesting in that there's all these interactive like pullouts to find more information. Peace by all means. That is definitely a Vestas. This is what our guide yesterday was talking about. The Palace of the Republic was this building, which was built over the palace that's outside after World War II, that it was torn down after the unification. A lot of Eastern Europeans saw it as them losing their culture and having Western culture imposed upon them. Ration books. Our guide yesterday, who grew up in East Berlin, was saying it was actually a very happy time. He didn't know it any different, but there was no jealousy because everybody had the same. Sputnik. Huh. I was expecting the space thing, not a magazine.
In der DDR ein sehr buntes und vielfältiges Programm mit Filmen aus aller Herren Länder hervorheben, was man also auch finanziell
So the DDR was quite a bit more successful. I have to imagine this was actually quite spacious. Your 1953 protest against working conditions and pay. The Soviets put tanks on the street. 50 protesters were killed. Minister's favorite. Oh, so this car was part of the motor pool in 1982. Stasi room. So meant to represent the old block housing. Peace must be armed. DDR Museum, I would say, is worth visiting. I try to get here when they open, though. It does get a little packed in there, and a lot of it's just reading plaques and pullouts and that sort of thing, and we're leaving at 12. So if you got here right at 9, I'm sure it'd be better. All right, Lisa, want to get some lunch? Sure. So the crossing lights here have this man on them. They call it the Ample Man, and it's one of the only pieces of East Berlin culture that persisted. Went with that one. Looking forward to a pretzel the whole time I was here. Yeah. That's good. Very cool building. To show how erratic the Berlin Wall was, you can see the line goes like this, here, down, around. Where Lacey's at, and then goes here and then back over there. So it was all over the place. This is the void that was referenced in the panel out there. It's a little like the memorial we saw yesterday. So we'll see it. Beautiful Torah plate. Not sure I would have put Nimoy in that, but these are all the different laws that the Nazis passed against the Jews.
All right, well, that was a fun afternoon here in Berlin, our last day. Certainly the DDR Museum was really interesting. Again, I'd go maybe when it was a little bit less busy, maybe first thing in the morning. The Jewish Museum was excellent. There was, of course, a lot about the Holocaust, but also a lot of time spent dedicated to the history of Judaism and the religion, and certainly I was not privy to that. So time well spent. There's an amazing art installation called The Fallen Leaves. That's what the translation is, where you can actually go and step on these metal plates representing all the Holocaust victims. So definitely worth the time to go. We're gonna go visit a Christmas market for the last time to get dinner, but you've seen that. So the next time you see me will be to review this trip and all the places we visited. All right, well, what a great trip to Central Europe with Gate 1. Wanted to give my thoughts as a wrap up to this video so you can decide if this is the right trip for you to enjoy. First, the value of the trip. I found it to be excellent. We do not get the included flight when we book with Gate 1 because I travel so much for work that we use my points. But the value of this flight, if you did include the flights, was about $2,500. That's the cost. And for that, you get the 10 days, which is actually 8 days because they count 2 of those days as travel. 8 days in essentially 5 different cities. They do book it as Budapest, Vienna, Prague, and then Berlin. But if you do one of the side trips, you get to go to Bratislava, which I heavily recommend. So it's $2,500 with the flight or $1,500 without the flight. Now, this is 2024 pricing. It does go up every year. So for that, you get the travel between the cities, you get the expertise of your tour guide, all of your hotels, and I'd say about half your meals. And so I think that's a really hard value to beat for what you get. Speaking of the hotels and that inner city travel, the hotels on this trip were excellent. I would say Budapest was the smallest room that we had, although it was very comfortable, very clean. The hotel was very nice, centrally located. We could walk to everything. The nicest hotel I would say was Vienna. Beautiful room. It was huge bathroom. Again, very centrally located. The hotel in Berlin, again, very nice, but located actually outside the city. And so we had to take either public transportation or Ubers to get to most of the attractions. But
Berlin, transportation was really easy to get in and out of the city. The bus, super clean, really well driven. If you've ever been on one of these trips and you've been able to see how these drivers weave through these tight streets in these old cities, it is absolutely amazing. There were times when our bus driver might have had 2 to 3 inches on both sides of the bus while he was going around a corner or whatever. And it was just amazing to behold. So tip your driver very well. The guides, I'll start with the Gate 1 guide. She was amazing. She was British by birth, but she lived in South America and now is an Austrian resident. Spoke several different languages, very friendly, very helpful, really went out of her way to make sure we had a good trip. So thank you, Julie, if you ever get to see this. The local guides were excellent. A lot of the local guides come into play when you start looking at the add-on adventures that you can do. You do get the expertise of local guides in some cases without going on those extra expeditions. Places like Dresden and even the city tour of Berlin were excellent. Overall impressions of the tour itself, this is what I call travel. It is not vacation. I came home more tired than when I went, but you're really not going on these trips to relax. You're going on these trips to see a lot of things very quickly. Budapest was amazing. I think the view of the Parliament building along the river on the evening cruise that we did is a memory I will never forget. Simply stunning. Vienna, that was the 3rd time I've been to Vienna, and I still have many more reasons to go back. Absolutely love that city. Prague, I can't say enough good things about Prague. It was absolutely stunning, very inexpensive, easy to get around. The people were friendly. I just can't say enough good things about Prague. And we'll definitely be going back there. Taking a step back, the side trip to Slovakia and Bratislava was amazing. I wish we'd had more than half a day there. We will definitely be going back there. It's only like a 35-minute bus ride, or I'm sure there's a train from Vienna, so add that to your list. And Berlin was great. It was not what I expected, mostly because I'd only been to the western part of Germany and the southern part of Germany, so Bavaria. And Berlin, I didn't appreciate how much it had been impacted by communist architecture. So it just has a much different feel to that city than other places I'd been in Germany. But still, I recommend this trip. I think it's a great value for what you give to what you get. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see another trip that we did with Gate 1, you can click here. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.